Ma Yun, better known as Jack Ma, was born on September 10, 1964, in a two-tier city in China called Hongshu. When he was around 8 years old, Ma became obsessed with learning English. For about 9 years, Ma would ride 27 kilometers on his bicycle to give visitors around the Hongshu International Hotel tours of the area to practice his English. Ma became pen pals with one of those tourists who gave him the English name Jack because he found it hard to pronounce Ma's Chinese name. Ma was okay as a student, but he was not very good at maths. College entrance exams in China were held only once a year, and maths was an important component. Ma failed these exams twice, one time scoring only 1% in maths. On his third attempt, he passed and got into an English program at the Teachers Institute. After graduating, Ma's prospects for a job looked quite bleak. He applied to 30 jobs and got rejected from them all. He even applied for a job at KFC and was the only one rejected out of 24 applicants. Finally, he managed to get a job as an English teacher at the Hongshu Institute of Electronics and Engineering, making around $12 per month. Ma also started his first company around this time, the Haibo Translation Agency, which provided English translation services for Chinese companies. In 1994, Ma's company was asked by the government of Tonglu County to assist as an interpreter to help resolve a dispute with an American company that had been contracted to construct a highway. So Jack was sent to America for the first time to resolve this issue. When he got there, he found that the American company was, in fact, a fraud, and Jack ended up getting kidnapped and held hostage in a Vegas hotel room. Somehow, Jack managed to escape, won $600 on slot machines, and took a flight to Seattle, where he had some fellow English teacher friends. In Seattle, Jack explained the internet for the first time. It was the early days, but there was some basic search available. Jack tried searching for beer and found that they had all kinds of beer, but no Chinese beer. He then searched for China and found that there were no results. This was Jack's lightbulb moment. He knew then that the internet was going to create a massive shift in business, and he meant to be a part of it. If you're enjoying this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below. It really helps the channel, and we'd love to keep making more videos like this. On Jack's return, he started a company called China Pages, which created websites for Chinese companies. This was a very tricky time to create an internet-based business in China, as very few people in China even had access to the internet. Most people were not willing to shell out money to put a page about their business onto this invisible, mysterious thing that no one was using. Jack said he was treated like a con man for years when he tried to tell people about China Pages. Eventually, Jack realized he was too early, shut down China Pages, and ended up taking a government job. Yahoo was setting up a presence in China around this time, and Jerry Yang, the CEO of Yahoo at the time, came to visit China. Jack Ma was now working for the government, and because of his English-speaking abilities and his internet background with China Pages, he is chosen to show Jerry around. Jack ends up developing a good relationship with Jerry, which will become important later on. Over the years, Jack began to notice all these factories being set up in China, yet none of them was selling globally on the internet. This seemed like a great opportunity to Ma, who was well aware of the power of the internet. So in 1999, Ma gathered 18 co-workers from his government job into an apartment and convinced them all to start a company with him. Alibaba was born. Ma chose the name because he wanted a name that started with A, and to Chinese people, Alibaba meant something along the lines of Open Sesame. Jack had been inspired by the entrepreneurial energy from his visit to Silicon Valley, and so he told his co-founders that they would have to adopt the Silicon Valley work ethic if they were to succeed. The business could be very successful, but not if they had an 8-to-5 government job mindset. We've linked Jack's original speech in the description below. So Alibaba was founded in 1999 with 18 co-founders, a much larger team than the traditional Silicon Valley garage setup. But because these people were all used to working together, the large team turned out to be a huge accelerant to the business. Meet Joseph Tsai, the future COO and CFO of Alibaba. Joe had graduated from Yale Law in 1990 and joined a law firm for 3 years before switching over to private equity. Joe was working for a Swedish investment firm called Investor AB in Hong Kong when a friend of his introduced him to Jack Ma. Joe thought Jack's idea was interesting, but he was really sold by Jack's character. He felt that Jack was very charismatic, and the fact that he had been able to get 18 people to join him as co-founders was proof. So, Joe quit his private equity job, making $700,000 a year for a salary of just $600 a year as COO and CFO of Alibaba. Around this time, Jack and Joe decided that they needed to raise money for Alibaba. Although they were only looking to sell around 10% of the company for $5 million in funding, they had a hard time finding investors. Eventually, a Goldman Sachs executive named Shirley Lin offered to buy a majority of the company for $5 million. After some negotiation, Goldman settled on buying 50% of the company for $5 million. However, they got cold feet due to the risky nature of the investment and eventually ended up investing $3.32 million, while Fidelity Growth Partners invested the remaining amount. Goldman Sachs got nervous about the risks again a few years later and sold out of their 32% stake in Alibaba for $22 million. That stake would be worth hundreds of billions of dollars today. In 2000, shortly after Goldman's investment, Masayoshi Son, the legendary SoftBank investor, decided to invest in Alibaba after just 5 minutes of speaking to Ma. He ended up investing $20 million for around 30% of the company. That stake is valued at around $200 billion today, and often called one of the greatest venture capital investments ever. Years later, Masa said about this deal with Jack, he had no business plan and zero revenue, maybe 35 or 40 employees, but his eyes were very strong. Strong, shining eyes. I could tell from the way he talked, the way he looked at me, that he has charisma. He has leadership. Alibaba was started at a time when the internet was very new to China. People were not used to it at all, and many didn't believe in it or want anything to do with it. So Alibaba had to develop a huge sales force which would cold call people and go door to door educating business owners about the internet and trying to get them to use it. From its experience with China pages, Jack knew that people would be reluctant to pay for internet business. So Alibaba didn't go with a standard take-rate model like Amazon. Instead, they went with the Yahoo and Google model of allowing people to use the service for free and making money from the paid ads and promoted listings. As Alibaba was starting to gain traction, eBay entered China in partnership with a company called EachNet. Jack got very worried about this as he feared that eBay would try to compete with Alibaba for small businesses. So, he called upon his original founding team and started a secret project back at the original Alibaba apartment. Still in stealth mode months later, they launched a B2C e-commerce platform called Taobao, which would compete with eBay. They wanted to keep this a secret in the beginning so as to avoid pushing any buttons. So all the co-founders actually sold their own possessions to the platform to kickstart it. Eventually, Taobao gained some good traction, and Alibaba employees who knew nothing of the secret project were actually coming up to Jack Ma saying they were worried about a competitor named Taobao. After Taobao started to grow, Jack and his co-founders had an all-hands meeting where they informed all Alibaba employees that Taobao was in fact a secret project owned by Alibaba itself. Yahoo had been looking to expand their presence in China due to the rapid growth of internet users in the country. However, their own efforts were lagging greatly behind local Chinese internet companies. After a few failed attempts at acquiring Chinese internet startups, Yahoo started to look into Alibaba. Yang developed a good relationship with Jack Ma back when he had visited, and Zhou Tsai's finance background also helped put Yahoo executives at ease. Eventually, in 2005, Yahoo made a deal with Alibaba for around $1 billion, giving Yahoo a 40% stake in the company. Several years later, in 2011, Alibaba bought back around half of Yahoo's stake due to disagreements between Jack Ma and the new Yahoo CEO, Carol Bartz. In 2004, the Alibaba team noticed that a lot of people in China didn't have credit cards or didn't use them online. This was holding them back from growing even faster, so Alibaba seized the opportunity to create ALIPAY, a payments platform for China similar to PayPal. Today, Alipay is the world's largest mobile payments platform with over 1 billion users, even larger than PayPal. In September 2014, Alibaba made history as they raised $25 billion in the largest IPO ever. And financing, the holding company behind Alipay, is supposed to IPO soon for a similarly staggering number. Alibaba has had success in various other ventures too, including Taobao, AliExpress, Tmall, and Alibaba Cloud, which is the fourth largest cloud service provider after Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. Jack Ma stepped down as CEO in 2013, and in 2019 relinquished his role as chairman to work on philanthropic ventures, such as funding African entrepreneurship and education-related businesses in Tibet. Ma encountered a non-stop series of failures in his early life, but his sheer persistence and determination allowed him to create one of the most successful companies ever. Alibaba lives on today with the spirit and culture that Ma created, thriving as a tech giant currently valued at $830 billion. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss more incredible stories about companies like this. Leave a comment below if there's other founding stories you're interested in hearing about.